So
True.
let's get this show back on track with Tools to Live By, presented by Veyer Watches.
Love my Veyer watch, David Lee Scales. Even when I'm blowing it in the water, I know exactly how long I've been blowing it for because I got time on my wrist.
Beautiful. Here's the weird thing about it: timeless. These are timeless pieces, yet perpetually timekeeping.
Who knew this thing? And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I will keep saying it because it gets more and more amazing every month that passes. I set my digital watches by my Veyer. My honestly and truly, the for whatever reason, the oven light or the oven clock goes bad. I don't know why
Mm.
it goes bad, but I'll be thinking there's no way it's that time. I got a couple more minutes than that, and I'll look at my Veyer and be like, I'm late. And so I have to go back, and I've done this 2 or 3 times now, and
Yeah.
reset my oven clock by my Veyer watch.
Wild times that we're living in.
Yep.
I know. So give the gift of style and sophistication this holiday season is what I would recommend you doing. It's already November. You got to start thinking about gift giving. Veyer will ship you the watch free shipping in the US, easy returns for if you need it to return for any reason, waterproof warranty, of course. These are engineered for the ocean. Veyer is spelled Vaer, and we will save you 15% with promo code Splendor15.
And get it done now. Imagine how glorious your whole holiday season will be when you've already got all your shopping done at the 1st of November.
Totally. And Jay Martinez, longtime contributor to the show, DM'd me a photo 2 weeks ago with his purchase, the Veyer on his wrist. And he's like, dude, thanks for the discount. Loving it. So,
It's really great.
yeah. So, hey, DLS and Chaz, I've got a submission for your Tools to Live By segment. I forgot to tell you, by the way, at the beginning, this is a grumpy local show. There's a theme of grumpy locals throughout this entire show.
But it
So,
seems so nice so far. It seems
I
so
know.
pleasant. It doesn't seem grumpy. It seems uplifting.
From this point on, pure grump.
Great.
Okay. I've got a submission for Tools to Live By. I live in the Pacific Northwest. An important detail to this story is that, like many people who currently live here, I was not born here. Chaz, I think you'll be able to weigh in on that since you're from the Pacific Northwest.
Um,
Uh, Quote, this morning while surfing an unnamed beach break, I had my first altercation since relocating to this part of the world. The waves were fun, but nothing to write home about or get aggressive about, in my opinion. I was paddling out roughly 100 yards or so south of a crew of locals, as there were plenty of waves to go around, and I generally tend to keep to myself anyways. One thing led to another. And due to the shifting tides and currents, I ended up a little closer to the crew. Perhaps I took one too many waves, which likely prompted one of the locals to approach me and ask, where are you visiting from? Without giving the question a second thought, I just responded, what makes you think I'm visiting? This was clearly the worst thing I could have said to this person. He proceeded to light me up with all sorts of, I'm from here and I don't know who you are. Why do you have to have an attitude? Why don't you paddle out somewhere else? All whilst peppering plenty of F bombs and the like. It became clear, obviously, that that the only reason this guy opened his mouth in the first place was because he felt that I needed to know that he was a true local and I was not. I'm definitely not a fighter, and I'm probably 15 to 20 years this guy's senior. So quickly raised my hands, apologized, and began to paddle down the beach in the opposite direction. The guy continued to follow me for a bit, sitting just inside and muttering to himself loudly enough that I'd hear him. Eventually, I worked my way far enough down the beach that he let me be. So, my question here is, what should I have said or done? Is there anything I could have done to have changed the outcome? Was I in the wrong here, or was this guy just looking to get aggro? Love the podcast. Keep up the work. A.
A, that guy was just looking to get aggro. I'm going to say the Oregonian or Washingtonian, wherever you happen to have been in the Pacific Northwest. Uh, I was just up there, happened to be up there was it last weekend? I think it was.
It was last week, right after we recorded.
Yeah, back in my stomping grounds. And Eugene was in Eugene. I didn't grow up in Eugene, grew up in Coos Bay, but Eugene was the kind of big city. That's where University of Oregon is. That's who we played in sports. Marshfield High School would play the Eugene school. So anyway, it was in Eugene. Eugene's kind of a hippie town, and or kind of is a hippie town. And they have this Saturday market there, right? Which is like standard hippie fare. Like there was some, it's every Saturday, but all manner of tie-dye shirts and ceramic junk and some guy banging away on his guitar, singing some protest ballad about, I mean, it like literally has not changed. It is so ridiculous. The guy's song was like, oh no, some hippie shit. It's hippie shit, right? So anyway, went and got saw the the married couple who was I think she sold ceramic coin sock banks or something, and her dude did balloon animals, right? But they were like really intricate. So got my kid balloon animal, or a balloon ballerina. In fact, he made a ballerina out of balloons, which is cool. So dad, you can picture him doing balloons, tie-dye, overweight, Birkenstock, standard hippie thing. Wife, exactly the same, long, flowy hemp dress, whatever. And then kid sitting in the corner. Now, kid was straight gothed out. I don't know if it was a girl or a boy, but like a gothed out 12-year-old, shaggy black hair over eyes, painted fingernails, like, one of those whatever, like rock and roll shirts, just sitting there, arms folded in the corner, thinking for sure, I hate my life. I hate my life. I hate my life. Now, all the way back to our caller, A, is it?
Hey.
So, A, I will say anyone good from the Pacific Northwest has hated their life and wanted to get out of the Pacific Northwest. The unrelenting gloom of winter, the freezing coldness of the water, all of it. You don't grow up in Oregon and think, killing it, living the dream. If you do think that, you got a major malfunction going on. Everyone gets out and they can come back. And I fully appreciate it now. I completely and utterly appreciate the Pacific Northwest. I can take in its beauty, all of it. Growing up there, I was that goth kid. I wasn't a gothy kid, but I wanted to literally, my dream was to buy a B-52 bomber whenever I was going to get enough money, buy a B-52 bomber, fly over the Pacific Northwest and bomb it. Just do, 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 do. Just take out the entire coast. That's honestly how I felt. Uh, Now I go
That
back
is
and I
a
think,
very goth. That
yeah,
is a very goth thought.
now I go back and I think this is beautiful. And of course, I look back too. What a great way to grow up. Not in Southern California, not in the busyness, but on my, I'm so thankful to my parents that I was raised in the Pacific Northwest, but I had to get out, right? All to say, this angry local guy didn't get out. He is the weird hippie balloon guy. So you need to disregard him. You had an attitude of, oh, you're the local. I'm sorry. I am in your space. I'll paddle out. You need to be more aggressive to him. Say, kook, I come from California, man. I come from the place you wished you were. Like, I'm here now and enjoying it, but you get back with your weird crew. Go play your
Yeah.
weird protest songs.
Um, I think you're right that the guy was just going to be aggro no matter what.
Sure.
And I do feel like our writer had a somewhat confrontational response. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Who thinks I'm visiting?
yeah, what makes you think I'm a visitor? That is kind of prompting a probably negative response from the initiator, but he's probably going to bark no matter what, right? Like that's why he was paddling up to you. The barking is meant to deter you from coming back,
Yeah.
right? So by you paddling down the beach, it worked. And by you having this after session angst, you're probably less likely to go surf there again. Even if it
Sure.
just gets you out of the water for one session, 1 week, you have to like work through your emotions before you go back. His barking worked. So the truth of the matter is, I think that there are people who are going to fight you no matter what. Like there's the people that are that erratic where they're like looking for a fight and they're
Yeah.
going to create confrontations until somebody steps up and is willing to fight. So they're going to fight no matter what. There's people like you who are not going to fight no matter what. And then there's people who are going to end up fighting if things escalate. And so you giving that response might escalate the situation. It's good to hear that you're not a fighter, that you're going to try to de-escalate the situation, but it also means you don't have to leave. You know what I
No.
mean? Like you don't have to engage with it. You don't have to leave. If you aren't going to fight no matter what, then and you stay there and just catch waves, ultimately it ruins his day. You going down the beach gives him what he wants. You not coming back gives him what he wants. You staying there, doing your own thing, catching waves is going to ruin his day. He's the one who's going to go home and not sleep over it.
And it's my wonderful mother always said it takes two to fight, right? And it truly does take two to fight. I think it's particularly in the surf. Like you can take his barking and you can be like, hey, I'm sorry, whatever. Yeah, moved. I live in such and such wherever now, and I moved up from blah blah. And there's always a way to kind of de-escalate. And he could still be mad. You fucking California is cool,
Right.
whatever. And that's fine. You could sit there and take it. And yeah. But if you don't leave and you force him to like paddle into your face, and rarely I feel, I mean, there are truly crazy people, but rarely if you just stay, will somebody come up and start beating you up if you
Right.
don't, start swinging too or take an aggressive pose. If you're just sitting there and he could be saying, get out, paddle in, get out and whatever. And you say, you can hem and haw and whatever. But if you're just there, rarely will somebody actually take action.
Cooler heads prevail. It's just so rare for people to have a cool head,
It's hard
you
when
know,
you're
and
getting berated by a local for
total,
being unlocal.
totally. But if you, like we said, are not going to fight no matter what, then you have to have a thick skin, of course, to take the berating. But if you have a thick head and a willingness to face the adverse, or thick skin and a
I think
willingness
thick
to,
head too.
yeah, thick headed and willingness to face the adversity, I just keep catching waves. And again, the more that he gets in your face and looks aggressive, the more of a dick he starts to feel like. And sure, he's going to burn you on a wave. If he burns you on 10 waves, he then looks insane.
Sure,
And he starts
totally.
looking insane to his friends as
Even
well.
amongst his friend group. Yeah, like rarely yeah, I mean, yeah,
You
like
could drive him insane simply by
just
staying,
staying.
not barking back. And I like your tact too of just answering the questions. Hey,
Yeah.
where are you from? Well, I originally was from California, but now I live in, name the city that you live in up there. It's not like you
Yeah.
have to give me your address, but just name the city. What does he say to that?
Yeah, he's like, you
Uh,
fucking California, I'm so sick of it. And I'm sure it is annoying, right? For
yeah.
sure. Californians or Floridians, like when I was up at the Saturday market, there was some hippied out person. See, this is the problem here. There was some hippied out person in a booth selling who knows what matter of handmade jewelry. And I overheard him say to somebody else, "Oh, I'm from Florida." Right. And so I'm thinking, yeah, okay, you're from Florida and you came and you're acting local, you're putting it on, right? Like to me, you are where you're from. California dude, if he goes up to Oregon and puts on his flannel and his, working boots and like rubs sawdust in it. Yeah, funny enough, I was riding up there on a on the plane ride up. There was some dude sitting at the bar before, like the very picture of Oregon hick. And he had like even suspenders on, like he was smelled of fresh cut wood. I mean, he was, a shaggy beard. He was like
Yeah.
classic Oregon. Uh, Asked him, he had a big book, and I was thinking, oh, this is farmer's reading. So I struck up a conversation with him. I'm to find out he's a goat farmer up outside of Portland, somewhere, he has acreage, blah, 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 blah. Get to talking, and I was thinking, oh, this guy's like, multi-generational Oregon bro. Nope, he was from wherever. Oh, from San Diego. And had been up in Oregon for whatever, 10 years or something. But holy Brad, I'm like, you kook. Like, I mean, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like your Oregon cosplay. That's wonderful. But it's what it is cosplay. You are where you're from. And I always just think, here's a tool to live by. You need to just embrace where you're from. You can't change that. That was decided for you by your parents. And that's just the cards you were dealt. You can't move somewhere. If I moved to Paris and started acting Parisian, started wearing an ascot and or go to Rome and bought myself a Vespa. And those are the people who are goofy, right? I
Yeah.
will forever be an Oregonian who has now spent the last, whatever, 20 odd years of my life in California. That's who I am. I can't act anything other than that.
Yeah. So interesting to think about the sociology of it because Southern California was all transients,
Yeah.
and was now the population is a mixed, stew of all of the different nationalities of the world that kind of came together, and that's now Southern California. That's
Sure.
probably
And
how a
you,
lot of places work.
yeah, that stew is that, right? Like Oregon guy who's cosplaying as an Oregon goat farmer. Like I could tell he probably wanted that multi-generational, my family's been working tilling the soil up in Oregon since they came out on the trail back in 1872, blah, 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 right? Like I get the longing for that, but if you don't have it, you don't have it, man. I am a mutt. I don't have any good heritage. I think my family is German, like 40%
Yeah.
German, 60% British, and I'm an American mutt, an American West Coast mutt, which is way muddier than an East Coast mutt, which has like, oh, everybody I know on the East Coast, every single person I know on the East Coast, except for Florida, has like generational something.
Yeah.
There's somebody in their family has lived in some town since God made America. Like it is, yeah, but we don't have that. So we don't have
um
it. Sorry, we can't fake it.
do you remember the game Oregon Trail
Yeah, of course.
on the computer, like with
Yep.
DOS? It was like a DOS operating system,
It
and you
was
die of dysentery.
it was really hard. Like you would think, I mean, because I remember playing it in fifth grade and fourth, like we would play it as part of our
It was
curriculum
for
in school.
children. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was like part of school. It was like educational about,
Yeah.
you had to plan, you had to, but it was impossible. Like you guaranteed somebody in your family was dying of dysentery, like full stop. And then probably you. And if you died or whatever, like if you starved to death, whatever happened, game over, man. It's not like second chances. You were gonna die, but then the doctor came and gave you a vial of medicine. No, you were done. And
I
I
know.
remember just having to sit there, like getting killed and just sitting there watching everybody else play. It's like, oh, I'm dead, man.
Well, the fact that all of America's youth learned the word dysentery when they were in third grade
Yep.
is like such a weird reflection of our culture.
Oh man, I
Uh,
will tell you though, they were accurate. Dysentery. I had dysentery and it almost killed me. Oof.
where did you get dysentery?
I got dysentery I think I contracted it in Egypt, but the symptoms came on in Aqaba, Jordan, and I was in a hospital for a good 6 days or 7 days.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
dysentery,
crazy.
man. Who knew?
Who
The
knew it was still around?
Oregon Trail creators knew.
Um, talking about your going to the farmer's market or whatever, the Saturday market, and seeing all that stuff. You want to hear the exact opposite of that example is Newport Coast. Do you know Rogers Gardens?
No.
Rogers Garden there's a restaurant I think called the Farmhouse, but Rogers Garden is a permanent what you're talking about. Like it's kind of like probably started as a farmer's market way back when, and people selling not just food, but goods, things that they make. And then it became like a permanent structure, but it's on Newport Coast. So it's like the most expensive real estate. So it is now tchotchke type things, textile type things that you're talking about, but fancy versions of it,
But
essentially.
for people who live on Balboa.
Exactly. So you want like a hand crocheted pillow, you can go there and get it, or
Okay.
what, or some fancy candle or something. And then there's the farmhouse. You can have lunch there, and it's wildly expensive. Lauren went to go because they decorate it for the holidays and stuff. So Lauren went to go with her sisters a week ago. She comes back. She goes, I wanted to buy this pumpkin. It was really cute. It was like paper mache. Austin loves pumpkins. It was just the size of a pumpkin, made out of paper mache, painted. She goes, I picked it up because I was going to buy it. And then I saw the price tag. Guess what the price was?
A literal paper mache pumpkin.
Correct. Hand painted paper mache
I'm gonna
pumpkin.
say it can't be any more than $35. 35 would
One
be
$1,000.
what? How's that? How's
$1,000.
that?
Because apparently it's some artist, quote unquote, who does the hand painting, and everyone is new or bespoke and one of a
That is
kind.
ridiculous. That is epic. That is
I
an
know.
epic little yeah, that is an
I I
epic
told when she
comparison.
made me guess, I'm like, okay, she didn't buy it. So what is her threshold?
Yeah, so if you didn't buy it, I would have said probably 100.
Yeah,
Did you guess
I think it was
100?
like $85 has
Yeah,
got to be it,
yeah,
and maybe I added to. I was like 85, okay, maybe $100.
yeah.
$1,000.
US dollars. That's crazy town. That is crazy
I
town.
mean, it is the exact opposite of Portland, Oregon, or Eugene, Oregon, even,
Totally,
even a
yeah,
better
no.
example.
I bought everything. I just kept going around buying all kind of everybody wanted hippie shit that day. So got a truckload for $20.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, that is our advice for A in the Pacific Northwest. Kill him with kindness, make him feel stupid. I think that's the fastest way to de-escalate the situation.
A tool to live by for sure.
And you can save 15% on a Vaer watch with using promo code Splendor15 on VAER watches.com.